I don't know if you guys are tired of me on a weekly basis yet, between the podcast and the clinical vlogs. This week we got a great case, long-time patient. We've been talking about replacing these composite veneers for over 10 years, and we finally got around to it. It's so important to plant seeds in your practice and talk to patients and then just wait for them for when they're ready. In this case, deep stains, existing composite veneers, went ahead and removed everything. A lot of work when we remove these old restorations. Don't know what you're going to get underneath there. You don't know the extent of any interproximal decay. So we dealt with all of those things, took nice traditional impressions. I know you're going to enjoy this case. I didn't get to get the detail I wanted in this case. So if you have questions, please ask below. If you've got concerns, please ask below. I'm just trying to share with you what happens. Not everything goes perfect. I wish it did. But that's how we learn and that's how we live. So enjoy the case. So we've got our patient numb. I like to work with Isolite. I work in sides at a time. Here we're removing the patient's existing composite or porcelain veneers. We're good, making sure everything's clean. I always find that there's decay in approximately, and that the tissues aren't perfect with some of these direct bonded restorations. We're doing our incisal reduction. Now we're going through and doing our rough prep, making sure that we have everything the way we want it to be. In this particular case, because of the darkness of the teeth, we're going to be doing a little bit more reduction than normal. Because we want to be able to have the ability to block everything out. Okay, so now we went ahead and rough prepped out the patient's left side, and we're going to go ahead and place our retraction cord here. Here we're using Siltrex. I think it's from Pascal. I don't know exactly who makes it, to be quite honest with you. And then we're going to go ahead and finalize our preps, and we're using a red diamond here, and then now we're going to use a diamond disc, and I like to use that to kind of smooth everything down. Now we're going to go ahead and go to the right side, patient's right side, remove the existing, and kind of do the same thing that we did on the patient's left hand side. Get everything in order here, do our best to minimize adjusting or hitting the tissue, and then I'm using, actually what I did there was use a scaler to kind of clean out any bust stuff going on. So we're going to induce some bleeding here. Go ahead and use again the retraction cord. Use a single piece to extend from beginning to the end on the right side, and here we are getting the retraction cord where we need it to be. And then we're probably going to come in here and start finalizing our preparations. So now we've got both sides rough prepped, and we're going to be ready to finalize our prep. So here we're going to switch to a fine diamond and scribe out our margins, do our three-plane full accentuated three-plane reduction with the mesial tilt. Go ahead and do our incisal reduction, adjust or add cord as necessary. We're going to use some hemostatic agent there, and here I just used an ultrasonic to help fine-tune my margins. So there's a little bit of decay. We use some flowable composite to clean up the decay, and then I like to finish out my preps to make sure there's no sharp edges with a sandpaper disc, taking photos of the prep shade, and we're going to do the same thing on the patient's left hand side. Fine-tune and scribe our margin, accentuate the three-plane mesial tilted reduction. Again, this reduction was dictated by the existing restorations. Remove any sharp points and make sure everything looks good and smooth. I really like using the sandpaper disc. Go ahead and use a retraction. Make sure our retraction is good and use some paste. Take our bite and try in our tray. Here we're going to use a traditional impression. Take out the cord. Go ahead and place in our light body, blow it in, use our medium body material, let that set. Hopefully we get a great impression. Even if we do or don't, we'll take a second impression. I'm a big believer in having two impressions of these types of cases. So again, light body, medium body, let that set 3, 4, 5 minutes, however long the set is on these materials. And now we're going to go ahead and make our provisionals using a putty stent. Here I made the classic mistake of not putting enough acrylic in there, so we're going to go in and add composite and clean out our gingival margin areas here, and add to our provisionals. So now we're adding to our provisionals. You know, honestly, this doesn't happen very often, but it does happen when I don't put enough material in the stent. And the choice was to take it all off and start over, or just to add in the gingival area. I decided to add. Now we're peeling off the excess off the lingual, using a round burr to make sure it's all gone, and at slow speed. And then we're going to come in with the flame shape carbide finishing burr to smooth out our margins, and then we're going to use our sandpaper disc to kind of clean everything up. Here we're going to start working on our bite, making sure everything's nice and clean, and then we're going to start being ready to finish out our case. So again, this is not terribly usual for the temporaries to take this much time. We had some issues in seating the jig and making sure I had enough material in there, and now we have our patient all done. So one of the nice things I like to have with a diagnostic wax up of the final shape and size is to know and see exactly what things are going to look like. Here we're using diamond paste to clean everything up. All right, here's my pitch. 3D-dentist.com. We'd love to help you with your education needs. If you're looking to learn how to get patients to say yes to these types of cases, the clinical dentistry is not that complicated to learn. There's so many places to learn. You can learn it from us, you can learn it from YouTube, you can learn it from social media, you can learn it from Dental Town, you can learn it from friends. What is hard is how to get the patients to say yes and how to execute these cases. That's where I can help. It's what I am super good at, and it's what we make simple and what we get your team on board for. Look for our business programs at 3D-dentist.com and let us help you grow your practice by doing more of the dentistry that you want to do. See you next week.